Movie notes on The Fountain, 2006 film, 20 June 2025 viewing. Here I, Tanis Coralee Leonhardi, she, her, hers of Seattle, talk through my movie notes for my Friday, 20 June 2025 viewing of the 2006 film The Fountain, which is a fiction film about a man seeking a medical breakthrough to help save his wife who has an illness and finds himself encountering spiritual themes in his quest. And I'm gonna put an emphasis here on spiritual. It does invoke religion in the sense of like multiple religions. So there's, and like the divine, and like some of the imagery that the religions might correlate with would be like Christianity, Hinduism, and like Buddhism. I'd say are three that kind of like in terms of imagery or concepts. So like, so it's this guy, this doctor and his wife, and the wife has an illness, and so, you know, he's like trying to get that breakthrough so that he saves the wife. But then it kind of goes back to a time before, and it's the same people and a couple, and it's him kind of in the same thing, and then there's like a future one where it's like kind of like trying to the balance between scientific or medical, scientific and then applied in medicine, so kind of two breakthroughs. But if it's a tree that already exists, then technically it's just a medical breakthrough, not a science breakthrough, you know, that kind of thing. And then kind of like dealing with different facets of it, of there's the research in that kind of thing, but then what about the person who's ill, and how about coming to terms with what's going on with her, and what's going on, and just like accepting her, but then also the acceptance of circumstance and the situation, and then kind of thinking of like sometimes scientific breakthroughs paired with like spirituality, or that might be a path for somebody, and it was like, well, yeah, a lot of major world religions are babies. Like science and mathematical machinery and apparatuses and studies go back, you know, like religion is relative, or world religions of today, not religion itself, but world religions of today, such as Christianity, Hinduism, and Buddhism, are relatively young. They're newcomers, so they, you know, might have been like, let's try our hand at describing natural phenomena, even though like they weren't the first. None of those were. So in that sense, scientific progress preceded world religions of today, and has progressed without it and continues to do so. But that doesn't mean there's like, you know, like maybe the documentation for some natural phenomenon is in a certain religion. Okay. Or not the only, but there may be, right? It might be part of the quest, and in that sense, religion can kind of take pride in, it might not be our religion or we came up with that, however we did document, you know, the phenomenon or phenomena or whatever. Yeah. And then what might this correspond to in my social network? In a vein of this movie, maybe not exactly like this movie, but like in a vein of this movie, is like the man needs to kind of come to terms with what's going on, and like the state of the woman, the wife, and like where she is mentally and stuff like that. But he's also on his own personal breakthrough. So it's like, how about a woman who deliberately said to her daughter and her husband she did not know the father/husband just to hurt them? The man is deciding to move on, or is there another path, such as like a breakthrough? Perhaps he chooses payback in the form of, if the mom/wife has what some may term a seizure, he says it is not a seizure. Perhaps the doctors find out the supposed underlying condition is not a condition at all. So as in that sense, it's a personal liberation and breakthrough of like they can work together, make it work. We just, maybe this other thing was like somewhere along the way it was wrong. Somebody said it was this and it really wasn't, and he just like, I'm going to question it, and it turns out that questioning is right. Right. So, like, I guess what I'm trying to get at, as somebody with research experience in publishing and science, like a peer-reviewed journal experiences, sometimes breakthrough isn't necessarily what one anticipates or expects, like really far in advance. So there we go. Those are my movie notes on the fun 2006 film, 20 June 2025 viewing.